And staying out in the Southeast Asian marketplace and that continent, Sri Lanka, a country you don't really hear much from an electrification standpoint, but there's a company that has been building a concept supercar all-electric vehicle for some time, and they're going to be making more of a splash this year, specifically at the Geneva Motor Show. But it's their first super EV, and it's called the VEGA EVX. And no, not this VEGA, this VEGA. And I've had one of those Vegas before back in the 70s, and that wasn't a pleasant experience. This, I'm sure, is going to be much different. It's interesting. They've got this car. They're building it as a supercar, 540 volt, 40 kilowatt hour pack. They're saying is good enough for about 250 kilometers, 155 mile range. That seems to jive. Fast charging in CHAdeMO and CCS with 120 kilowatts. Just kind of scrolling to some of the specs now. They want to get this thing under 3 seconds for a 0 to 100 kilometer time, or 0 to 62 mile per hour time. They got a couple of 300 kilowatt motors that they're outfitting this thing with, which gives a combined torque of combined horsepower of 804 horsepower and torque of about 560 Newton meters, and it could even be more than that depending on how they tweak it. Now, this thing's not going to be cheap. They're advertising about 250,000 United States dollars or USD. So this is going to be for the half of the 1%ers out there, basically. But, I think what we can take from this is that we have a country that we would not have thought is in the involvement of electrification, and even, building their own vehicles and learning that whole process and understanding what goes into that. This company has never produced an electric vehicle before. And in fact, in the country, they've never done that. They're known more as a farming type of community and agricultural country. So, it's good to see that they're branching out, looking at different elements, and these guys are playing around with some of the battery chemistries and stuff. So we'll see what happens. But congratulations on this company, and all the best to you, and keep watching. I talked about the MG that's going gangbusters in Europe. Now it's actually starting to be pre-ordered in India, and I mentioned India on a couple of shows that they are, really looking to ramp up electrification and EV adoption and other, vehicular adoption as well. But MG has announced that they're going to be sending their SUV MG ZS, all electric, nice little sport utility vehicle. And they've actually sold almost 3,000 units now, just in about a month, just under a month. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's pretty good for a smaller company like MG is. And so really the uptake has been really, really strong that they're seeing. And this is kind of a sweet spot for the Indian marketplace because you've got a good mix of government subsidies for electric vehicles and infrastructure that are available for consumers. And also this vehicle has decent range and has really good sustainable luxury, as they call it, at an attractive price. And that's the key kicker here. I know that this is a really, really good bargain price for what you get in a vehicle, and especially with the appointments. Excuse me. So great to see that their uptake. Now, they've announced that they're going to tweak this version for India a little bit different. It's going to come out with a 73 kilowatt hour battery pack capacity to get a theoretical range of about 500 kilometers. So we don't know that for sure, but that's what they're planning on. So continue to wait and see, but it looks like this is starting to get some uptake, and I expect to see deliveries in the Indian marketplace later this year.